I'm in start recording. All right.
I'm in it to win it.
I'm in it to win it too, my friend.
Here.
All right. Shut the fuck up, Floyd. Nobody cares about you. I'm gonna hit play on this video. We're gonna check this shit out, right? Because like, yo, vision is based off vocabulary, and that's fucking crazy, right? And this is gonna kind of explain it.
Thank you so much for clicking on this video. But why did you click on this video? Not even 10 seconds ago, you were mindlessly scrolling through your YouTube feed, and then you saw this title and thumbnail. Something in your brain had to
we
know
watched this last. We watched this the other night, Pnoid.
What was that?
I know, but it's super interesting, which is why like I wanted to like fucking watch it again because like we had a really cool conversation. And it's super fascinating.
No, but we have to watch something new to have novel conversations.
No, we don't, right? Because we can have novel conversations off of this. Yes, we can because like it's fucking super fascinating. No. We didn't record that. We didn't record that.
Besides, the content may be different, but your
thoughts are gonna be different.
It is a different conversation.
That's yes.
Some kind of fucking fibrous fucking bullshit that fucking connects the fucking hemispheres of your brain and shit.
It's called the corpus callosum. It absolutely exists.
Yeah, okay. that.
Fine.
I actually
fine. I admit defeat here, Pnoid.
Seriously, tell me, I might get my click rates up. But for real though, we've got a motor cortex, a visual cortex, an auditory cortex. But where do decisions come from? That question got a lot more complicated in the 1960s when a new surgery started being performed on people with extreme epilepsy. It was called a corpus callosotomy or split brain surgery. Yeah, try to guess what they do. Yeah, they split the brain in half. Of course, the brain is already pretty much split in half between the left and right hemispheres, but they're connected at the bottom by a bundle of fibers called the corpus callosum. So yeah, they just kind of cut those fibers. This made it so the two halves of the brain couldn't communicate with each other, which sounds like it would be a huge problem. But believe it or not, they went on to live normal lives. This surgery didn't change people's personalities or ability to function, but there were some kind of weird things that came out of it. You know, things like their left hand would start drawing something and they didn't know why. It's like there was something in their right hemisphere that was trying to communicate. They were kind of like two different people in there. So if that's the case, the question becomes which one of those two entities are, you know, running things. The subject of split brain experiments has come up from time to time on this channel, but I don't think I've ever really done a full video on it. So I decided to do one because this topic is one of those things that just really caused this shift in like how I see the world, how I see other people, how I see myself. And it came from a book that I'll be sourcing quite a bit in this video, and I highly suggest you read it. It's called Who's in Charge by the neuroscientist Dr. Michael Gazzaniga. Taking copious notes, as you can see. He did pioneering work on split brain patients in the 60s and 70s. He's written several books about it, done TED Talks. I'll link it all below. But the reason this book speaks to me, if I may, I don't know, get a little personal for a second, I've kind of always had this theory that there's different gnomes in my head. Obviously, I don't think that actual garden gnomes are living inside my skull. That's crazy. But like most people, I imagine, I do have kind of different voices in my head that have thoughts that bubble up from time to time, some of which I don't even agree with. Like, call it a defense mechanism, call it a rationalization of bad ideas or whatever, but that was kind of my way of explaining why I sometimes had conflicting ideas or had trouble making a decision, or like the negative thoughts that kind of take over sometimes. That's the negative gnome taking the wheel. Not much unlike the world that they created in the movie Inside Out, which I just saw for the first time fairly recently. And I've got to say, like the way that they structure that world inside of her head to explain how memories work and emotions work, I thought it was brilliant. Something else I liked about the movie was that the stakes were so small, but it still felt like a big thing. Like the climax of this movie is a little girl telling her parents that she's sad. So maybe we could start by asking the obvious question, which is, why were they cutting people's brains in half again? Yeah, it's a procedure called a corpus callosotomy, and they started doing it first back in the 1940s as kind of a last resort treatment for severe epilepsy. Here's how it works. When you have a seizure, what happens is that there's a surge of electrical signal that disrupts the normal firing of neurons across the brain. Depending on where this occurs in the brain, you'll experience different symptoms. For example, an ocular seizure might give you a flash of light. But the worst, of course, are the ones that spread over the entire brain. These can lead to temporary paralysis and convulsions, vomiting, basically everything you think of when you hear the word seizure. And in people who get these multiple times a day to the point that they can't even function normally and no treatments seem to stop it, well, the best option is to just continue.
Grandma Caesar.
So the corpus callosotomy is done to prevent the signals from spreading to the entire brain, so it stays in whatever hemisphere it started in. Kind of like a surge protector. The first corpus callosotomy was done in 1936 by a neurosurgeon named Walter Dandy. Kind of an accident. He was removing a tumor on a patient's pineal gland, and it required him to cut through the corpus callosum to get to it. He reported that this had no real effect on his patient, which there had been a debate for a long time about what the corpus callosum was actually for. Like, was it actually involved in processing, or was it just structural, just kind of there to hold the brain together? The result of this experiment seemed to suggest the latter. Regardless, in 1940, William P. Van Wagenen decided to try a corpus callosotomy on an epilepsy patient, and he saw mixed results at first, but they were promising enough to continue experimenting with it. By the way, if this is all starting to sound kind of familiar, all of this happened about the same time as the lobotomies, which I covered fairly recently. This was basically the period of neuroscience when they started paying attention to the white matter fibers and cutting connections just to see what would happen. I should be clear though, while lobotomies were being handed out like candy, split brain surgeries were much more extreme and pretty controversial at the time, actually. This was only for people with a very specific, very debilitating condition, and even then it was only a last resort. It really wasn't until the 60s when two neuroscientists named Joseph Bogan and Philip Vogel kind of perfected the procedure, and it became thought of as an effective, safe treatment. But not without a few weird side effects. Like sometimes they had trouble getting their two hands to work together. One patient talked about how he had trouble buttoning his shirt because he'd be buttoning it up with one hand, and then his other hand would go behind it and unbutton everything that he had just buttoned. And stories like this just kept coming up, like patients whose hands would just grab things for no reason or would mess with the other hand, to the point that Joseph Bogan decided probably somebody should research this. Luckily, he knew just the perfect person to do this, a neuropsychologist named Roger Sperry. Roger Sperry was born and raised in Hartford, Connecticut, and went to Oberlin College on a scholarship where he originally wanted to major in English, but he took an intro to psychology class that sparked an interest in psychology. Yeah, the story goes that apparently his professor was disabled, so Roger Sperry kind of helped him to get around and took him to various places and stuff. So he wound up kind of sitting in on conversations that this professor was having with his colleagues, talking about their research, debating different psychological theories and whatnot, and he just got sucked into it. He just found it fascinating. So he got his master's degree in psychology and later a PhD from the University of
You know, like fucking 10 years ago or like 15, 20 years ago, this dude would have literally been like at a mall in a leather jacket, you know what I mean, smoking weed and like throwing beer bottles and shit and like playing Dungeons and Dragons. You know what I'm saying?
Is that not a better life?
I think it might be a better life than what the fuck he's doing right now. Just keeping it, like, I'm sitting there looking at this dude, I'm like, bro, he looks like every slacker from, like, an 80s movie ever. You know what I'm saying? Like, doesn't he look like an extra from a Jay and Silent Bob movie?
I mean, if you judge a person's phenotype, then you start judging their genotype, and that's naughty. So don't do that.
Chicago, and then he went into his career, he became more interested in neuronal specificity and brain circuitry. Basically, like how different parts of the brain work and how they're connected. He did experiments on rats and salamanders that involved kind of rewiring their nerves, like in their legs and their eyes, to see if they could adjust. Spoiler alert, they couldn't. But through all of his research, he kind of became known as an expert in how different parts of the brain work and how they talk to each other. So, of course, Bogan thought that he would be just the right guy to study split brain patients. And, of course, Sperry took him up on it because what an amazing opportunity. He did also do some experiments on animals before he went into his human research. I know none of us like to hear about animal experiments, but he did do some corpus callosotomies on some cats and tested them. Luckily, he didn't have to do the surgery on the split brain patients because, well, that had already been done. So Sperry found a group of Bogan's patients that were willing to volunteer for his tests, which focus on vision, language, and motor skills. This would involve showing words or images to the left or right visual fields to see how the different hemispheres handled it. This requires some explanation. As you may already know, the hemispheres are what they call contralateral, meaning the left hemisphere controls the right side of the body and the right hemisphere controls the left side of the body. Also known by its technical term, crisscross applesauce. But your eyes are a little bit weirder. It's not quite as simple as just each eye goes to the opposite hemisphere. They go to both hemispheres at the same time. What happens is the two optic nerves converge at a spot known as the optic chiasm. And there they split apart, with one split carrying the left visual field and the other one carrying the right visual field. And then the left visual field, from both eyes, gets sent to the right hemisphere, and the right visual field from both eyes get sent to the left hemisphere. So it's still contralateral, but with extra steps. So if you're staring at my face right now, Zoe is in your right visual field. You're seeing her blessing you with both eyes, but it's the left side of the brain that's processing that image. Your right hemisphere literally can't see Zoe right now, but it knows she's there because the left side's sharing that information through the corpus callosum. But what if you don't have a corpus callosum? This is what Roger Sperry wanted to figure out. So he came up with a series of tests along with his graduate student, Michael Gazzaniga, the guy who wrote this book. Sorry, I just have to clarify one more thing before I get into the results of that test. A lot of the basic functioning of the body takes place in what's called the subcortical region. This is an area that's actually shared by both hemispheres of the brain. This includes structures like the thalamus, the hippocampus, the amygdala, and a lot of other things that you probably never heard of. But these kind of handle the basic stuff like motor control, sensory processing, something they call...
Yeah, this is what like a lot of us would call like your motherfucking either your animal or your reptile brain. Right, it's the part of it that's like really fucking old. You know what I mean?
Well, and it's the most trustworthy as well because of how old it is. It has survived for millions of years. It's the wisdom.
It's the part of your brain that keeps you fucking alive.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, yeah, it's quite a good system.
Done so for hundreds of thousands of years.
Yes, this new monkey brain that we have seems to want to like it's so arrogant it wants to tell you that it's smarter than your reptilian brain. It's not the case.
Yeah,
Fuck this monkey brain.
I agree. All right, well, let's keep rocking on.
Proprioceptive sense, which is basically our sense of our body's position in space. So that's handled before everything gets split up. There's no one hemisphere that controls that. This also includes what Dr. Gazzaniga calls an integrated spatial attention system, which is basically something that directs where the brain pays attention to things. So it's not like you could be doing homework with one side of your brain and gaming with the other side of the brain.
That would be pretty
That'd be nice, though. Anyway, I know that was a lot of exposition, but it's just all stuff you kind of need to know before we get into the good stuff. So here comes the good stuff. So one of the first patients that they studied was a man named WJ. They kept their names anonymous for obvious reasons. WJ's test started out pretty simple. They showed him pictures and words in a right visual field, and then he was able to respond with his left hemisphere. A dog, a car, a spoon, easy. Easy because the language center is on the left side of your brain. But when they showed an image in his left visual field that went to his right side of the brain, he claimed that there was nothing there. Now this was a really big moment because up to this point, there was still a bit of a debate around how much the corpus callosum controlled the flow of information between the two hemispheres. And this seemed to be indisputable proof because it wasn't that the right hemisphere couldn't see the object. It could see it just fine. It's that the language center of the brain is in the left hemisphere. So it literally didn't have the words to describe it. So based off of this, they tried a new experiment, this time with a basic flashing light. So what they did was they put his hands under a barrier so his eyes couldn't see his hands. And he gave each hand a button. And he told him whenever he saw a flash of light to click the button and then confirm it verbally by saying light. So they signaled his left hemisphere, he clicked the button, he said light. Then they signaled his right hemisphere. He clicked the button and then said, hey, why did I click that button? He didn't see the light, but the right hemisphere did. And it was able to communicate that it did, it just couldn't do it with language. It's kind of like the left hemisphere has a voice and the right doesn't. But now they were figuring out how to talk to the right hemisphere. And now things get a lot more interesting. These kind of results bore themselves out over and over and over again with other split brain patients as well. Like in one experiment, the left hand was placed in a box with a handful of objects in it. And then they flashed an image of the object in the right hemisphere, and the left hand was able to feel around and pick out the right object. When they asked the patient why he grabbed that object, of course, he had no idea. And sometimes the patient could just draw the image. For example, they flashed an image of a bike at the right hemisphere of one patient, and then his left hand drew a bike. But think about the experience that the patient is having. He's just sitting there, he's got a pencil in his left hand, and he's waiting for them to flash an image at him. And he's waiting. And then his left hand just draws a bike. These experiments would progress and become more complex over time, and they began to understand just how different their left and right brains really are. You know how we always talk about left brain people being analytical and right brain people being more creative, that whole thing? Well, here's how the two hemispheres are actually different. Basically, the right hemisphere was better with visual and spatial skills, and the left hemisphere was good with language. Like he described an experiment where the patient was flashed a picture of a pattern of colored blocks, and then he had to recreate it. And when they flashed the right hemisphere, the left hand was able to recreate it really easily. So the right hemisphere was really good at that. But when they did that with the left brain, the right hand it really struggled with it. In fact, there's one story of a patient who was struggling to put it together with.
No, I don't believe that. I don't believe that's true.
Why?
He just said, "Oh, basically the right hemisphere is good at visual coordinate, whatever the fuck, and the left hemisphere is good at language." No, that's bullshit. That's not true. Also, you're making a lot of noise. That's not fucking true. None of that. No. Both the left and the right of the brain had access to both of those objects. Okay, it's not a difference in structure. It's a difference in preference.
Well, I'm gonna tell you like this, right? Like I don't know what the fuck's going on my Discord. Hang on. All right, yeah,
Dude, you're making a lot of noise.
Yeah.
Dude, you're being noisy as fuck.
It's good now.
You're whistling on the back. No, you're still whistling.
Well, I mean, okay. Well,
that's better. That's better.
That's better. Okay, that's better.
That's better. That's better.
All right. Anyway, right.
You got it now.
Yeah. Fucking so, I'd like your vision is based on you, right? And you only recognize things that you know, right? And so like because your language center is part of your brain, because like you learn things based on like what they're called and how like how you interact with them, right? Your ability to stand here and how do I put it? Your ability to like understand objects is really based on your knowledge of that object and understanding it and like how your brain perceives it in like a manner to you.
And how to use it in space.
Yes.
Oh, a metacognition of an object. Yeah.
Right? So like that's kind of where like it's at. So like, and this is why like when you become like why they say like education is important or whatever, it's actually the vocabulary for that education that's important, right? Like the more complex you understand an object, right, or an area or whatever it is, the more you're going to be able to see, the more visually you're going to be able to see, and like the more ability you're going to be able to have to interact in that space.
I fucking hate Plato. I'm a dualist. I'm not a monist. I'm a dualist.
Okay. I'll be honest, I don't understand Plato at all, bro. So like that to like break that down.
Well, yeah, I mean, no one understands Plato because Plato never made any sense.
It tastes good when you're like 5 years old.
Yeah, it sounds pretty good. Yeah, it's but I'm a dualist myself. I think that through all of creation, there has always been two objects, right? Like, what made nature? Well, it was the combination of chaos and order, right? I mean, that's what produced nature. And then, like, every single time that anything has ever existed in nature, it's dualism after dualism after dualism, just complexities upon complexities of dualism. This idea of monism, that there is just one God, it doesn't seem to match with my entire thinking of the world. You know, it's just, the
one is many.
I believe much more in Taoism than whatever the fuck monotheistic bullshit people have created.
I don't know. I kind of like the idea of like a pantheon of gods. That would be kind of more based, but you know.
Oh yeah, pantheon's good. Yeah, that's pagan as fuck.
Yeah. Right, yeah, but like you know, I don't know, man. Like how does Plato play into this though? Like how does that ideology play into this? Like why are you tying the two together?
Oh no, I was just saying that Plato was gay. That's all.
Oh man, listen, that's fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, Plato
because
gay.
He was dumb and gay. Yeah.
I feel you. You know what I mean? Like you know, fucking Plato's cave upon Plato's cave. You know what I mean? It is what it is. Let's keep rocking.
With his right hand, and his left hand kept trying to help. He had to actually sit on his left hand to keep it from trying to help the right hand out to solve the problem. According to Dr. Gazzaniga, quote, "The right hemisphere turned out to be specialized for such tasks as recognizing upright faces, focusing attention, and making perceptual distinctions. The left hemisphere was the intellectual. It specialized in language, speech, and intelligent behavior." There were also differences in logic and problem solving between the hemispheres. Like, they'd show the right hemisphere a picture of water, and the guy would point to a picture of water. Then they show the picture of a pan, and the guy would point to a picture of a pan. But when they asked what they could do with those two items, the right hemisphere just couldn't quite figure that out. Whereas the left hemisphere knew right away that you put the water in the pan. The right hemisphere also struggled to come up with inferences. Like, in another experiment, they showed a picture of a match and then a picture of a wood pile, and they couldn't quite figure out that the next image in that series should be a burning wood pile. And in another experiment, the patient was shown the letter U and asked to turn it into a square using a choice of shapes. And the right brain couldn't do it, but the left brain had no problem. Like, the right brain is very literal. Things just are what they are. He uses the example of a box of candy. So, like, if somebody gave you a box of candy, your right brain would just be like, yes, that is a box of candy. But your left brain will try to figure out why they gave you a box of candy. What this means is that both halves of the brain are experiencing consciousness.
The left brain is a woman.
Very different kinds
there
of
it
consciousness. As Dr. Gazzaniga put,
I mean, your right brain's an NPC.
The left brain is the woman, yeah, and the right brain is the NPC. That's
right.
it.
Like, yeah, the right brain's an NPC. It's kind of where it's at, which is fine, right? But, like, you know, and instincts are always important in the end of the day, right? You need your instincts to be able to survive, like, 98% of shit that you're going to do in life, right? Like, you need that shit, right? But the other times where, like, you know, you need, like, your brain to, like, help you be able to...
Yeah, but that's a woman.
What do you mean?
That's a woman. It's always it's thinking, like, it's the thing that thinks too much. I hate it.
Yo, well, all we do is think all the fucking time.
My particular course in life has it's led me to this position where I fucking hate the left side of my brain, and yet it forces me to keep thinking, even when I want it to stop. And I keep trying to make it go away, but it won't. I find shelter in the right brain, and yet the left brain just keeps fucking kicking me.
You know what I have a problem with, man? It's what I try to do as a thing is be present in moments.
There you go.
Yeah. Right? Like, instead of like, you know, standing here, Floyd, shut the fuck up, right? Instead of, like, standing here, you know what I mean, like, worrying about whether or not you're thinking about shit, right? What you should do is like try to be present in the moment that you're in, right? Like, think about it, like Achilles said, right? Achilles said, you know what I mean, like, the secret of that, like, the, you know what I mean, the priests don't want you to know about the gods is that the gods envy us, right? Because, like, every sunset, every, you know what I mean, like, piece of food, every, like, smell could be the last time that you ever experienced that, right? Because you're mortal, and because, like, you know what I mean, this is temporary. Like, we're never going to be as good as we are right now again, and we'll never be in this moment again. And so you should live in that fucking moment and be present as much as possible, right? And just practice that constantly. Because that's beautiful.
It's about focus.
No,
when you're caught up in your thoughts, you're ignoring your environment. So it's more a matter of, like, this light meditation where you're kind of just quieting your mind and sensing the moment that's in front of you, like the sunset. That's why nature's so important.
There is this other side of this, though, Tom,
where I mean, and this is unfortunate, you know. I mean, I'm not happy about, you know, this fact either. In fact, it's one of the most horrifying things about the universe. But how many things have been on the earth in the past 4 billion years? How many death has occurred? How much suffering has occurred, all to make sure that life sustains? And yet, how many kittens have died? How many little baby sea turtles have died? How many fucking little monkeys have died? Humans, whatever the fuck. How many people have to die? How many objects have to die in order to make sure that this god can just continue to exist? It's almost as though it exists based off of suffering. And it makes me feel bad. That makes me feel bad.
But wait a minute. But wait a minute, bro.
I can answer.
No, fuck you, buddy.
Fuck Floyd. Floyd, you're dumb.
I really do. The correct answer to that question is as many as it takes.
Oh, shut the fuck up, Floyd. Anyway, you're done. So, like, yeah, Floyd's dumb, right? So check this out, bro. Like, and here's how you deal with that, right? In your head, every moment that you're not suffering, every moment that like you're just there experiencing, like breathe it in, like all of it. Like notice everything around you. You know what I'm saying? Like look at like the marks on the wall. Like look at, you know what I mean? Like, oh, you're fucking tan on your skin. Look at like your fucking the number of fucking edges on your microphone, right? Like all of these things, right? Like be present in that second. Be right there and enjoy it. Breathe it. Like live it. Experience it as long as possible and make it last, right? Because you're not suffering there. You're not miserable. You're not dying. Appreciate that moment, because you could end up as one of those creatures soon.
Unfortunately, Tom, we are living that moment. We start dying from the moment.
Yeah, you're fucking dumb. Shut up, Floyd. You're stupid. That's not even how it works, bro. That's literally not how that works. Bro, listen, again, like you do understand like the process of like anything as a whole, right? It's like it's birth, growth, maturation, fucking decline and death, right? You ain't even at decline yet. Just shut the fuck up, Floyd. You're just being a fucking bitch.
I'm 40, dude.
You're a bitch.
I've
I'm
got
41.
more of my life behind me than I do ahead of me.
I feel you're at maturing.
Maybe.
You're maturing at the moment.
I got balls, but they're not crystal balls.
Feel you, right? Like I ain't dead yet. I was talking to somebody today. They said I saw somebody today. It's like, bro, I ain't as good as I once was. They're like, bro, like, yo, yes, you are.
I'm as good as I ever was.
Right. This is the thing, right? So, like, again, like, breathe that moment and be present. Like, you don't have to worry about, like, you know, whether or not like you're gonna fucking die, or whether or not, you know what I mean, like all these things die before you, because that's the fact of life. There's nothing you can do to change that. Don't worry about that shit. You know what I mean?
This is why the Eastern philosophies became popular in the cities.
You not
why?
Worry about that shit, because
Don't.
knowing for a fact that you are going to die.
Yeah,
There's
but you're not dead now.
There's not a goddamn thing you can do to stop it.
Yeah,
man. I already accepted the fact that I was
going
to die like a while ago. It's not a big deal, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get over it.
Yeah.
You're not
I died in surgery when I was 22. Shit, you been there, done that, got the t-shirt.
You don't have to worry about dying. You know what I mean? Like, your death comes for all of us.
Ain't gonna know it anyway.
All the man can do is smile and wave back when the death comes to you. I know every time I get close, man, I smile my ass off.
Life is 100% fatal.
100% of the time, you're gonna die.
Oh yeah,
no one gets out alive, huh?
That's cool.
But it's okay.
But that doesn't change the fact that the concept of death fucking terrifies me.
Well, you shouldn't. That's because you're not living.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, I agree with Tom. If you fear death, you ain't living.
Yup. No one fears death. What they fear is like dying and having not like fucking lived.
Or dying horribly in a rape.
Nah, man, listen, that's part of life. You know what I mean? But again, like, yo, listen, you're gonna die, right? Like, as long as you die, when like at the point of your death, when your life flashes before your eyes, there's some cool times. That's all that matters.
There was this concept of dying well.
Dying well, yes.
Yeah, it's big amongst the natives.
Amongst the pagans, yes.
Amongst the Greeks, amongst the Romans.
Die well. Yeah, it was cultures. before the whatever gay religion
Christians,
came in and
for the
turned
Christians
the other cheek.
Yeah.
Yeah. Die well. Right. Yeah, it was healthy.
Yeah. They said
So fear of death is, I think, just something that you picked up somewhere along the way, some stray information, some culture. You were probably watching like a movie with your mom, and then she reacted horribly with a gasp, and you just never got it out of your psyche. That's just an educated guess.
Yo, I've had this theory for a while that I think like there's information that people have that fucks up their lives, and it's because they didn't earn it.
You mean, Tom?
Hmm?
I don't understand. What do you mean by that, Bubba?
What's an example of it?
When you have a piece of information, right, that fucks up your life. Like you stand here and you learn that, I don't know, like women fuck dogs or some shit, right? And like all of a sudden now you can't fuck women because they fuck dogs, right? Like that's a piece of information that, like, you know, you probably, you know what I mean, like fucking.
Oh, one of those information hazards.
Yeah. Like you have a piece of information now that's like fucking your shit up. Now you didn't earn it; you heard somebody else say it, right? And now like you're scared of fucking some shit, right? Or like you heard somebody like getting bit by a fucking spider, and now you're terrified of all spiders, right? And it's because like you haven't really gone out and experienced spiders. You haven't gone out and really experienced women, right? You haven't done like all these things. You haven't earned this information, right? You have to earn the information that, you know what I mean, like you have, right? You can't just like expect to like have info and then, you know what I mean, like not, how do I put this? You can't like have this information and then like have it not fuck you up if you didn't earn it properly.
I mean, I would.
That's probably true. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Well, there is learning vicariously though. Like that also ties into dreams. Like why we dream is to experience shit just in case it happens.
Yo, dude, no. Okay, sleep is fucking weird to me. I like to sleep, I really do, but I guess the best way to put it is sleep is the free trial of death with ads.
No,
I agree. I 100% agree. Dude, can I just straight up like agree real quick?
Stop agreeing with me.
No, dude, wait, hold on, wait.
The fucking ducks.
No, but I do agree with this one thing though. Like, I feel like to me, every time that I sleep, I die, and so I don't want to sleep because it feels like death.
That's fucked up.
No, but that's how I feel, and I feel like this whoever the fuck this guy is, he gets it.
No,
he gets it, man.
Listen,
Sleep is like again, it's a death.
Yeah, listen, first off, you're agreeing with the furry Indiana man, right, who lives in his fucking grandmother's basement.
Well, okay, that's probably not a good sign. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Fair. It's not a good sign that you're agreeing with him. All right,
yeah.
You should probably not do that. All right, first off.
Yeah, but
I know, dog. I know, dog. I understand, right? But listen, that's not what that. Like, have you ever like lucid dreamed before, General?
Yes.
Okay, so like when you're lucid dreaming, right, you have like control over what's going on. Do you know what's actually happening?
I have lucid dreamed like maybe 20 times in my life.
Yeah, I do that like every time I dream.
It's not very frequent for me, but when I have,
I do it all the time, right? It's like a normal thing for me, right? Because I've been sober forever, right? Which is fucking terrible.
External stimuli.
No, it does not.
To have that happen.
Yeah, listen. So here's the thing: what dreaming is, as a whole, is you being allowed to communicate with your subconscious.
That is probably true. That is probably true, and that is healthy.
Yes. Right, and you're allowed to like work through all the excess information that you absorbed during a day that you didn't notice, right, when you were conscious.
Yes, yeah. Oh shit, man! Like I just realized, I think that my subconscious is kind of he's a nice guy. My subconscious is a cool dude, you know.
Yeah,
but there are some people that exist in this world that have subconsciouses that are fucking pieces of shit, and so they can never be open and honest and or whatever the fuck. Like they always have to be fucking guarded because like they know that their subconscious sucks and their conscious will never be able to make up for that. Oh man,
right.
That's gotta be rough.
Yeah, I feel you, right. But again, so like here's the thing, General. This is really important to understand. You know what I'm saying, as a whole, need to like every day recharge your fucking batteries, right? And then allow your subconscious to work through all the shit that it has to work through, right? You know what I mean? And that's what like fucking sleeping is. It's not death. You know what I mean? It's a rebirth.
Yeah, but it feels like death to me.
It doesn't. Yeah, it's because you fall down drunk and high.
No, actually, I get around this issue by not going to bed but passing out. I actually just going to bed, just sleeping. It's
what?
There's something I find wrong in it, and it just pokes my tummy in a particular way. I don't like it.
Yeah, no, man, listen, you need to sleep.
Yeah, I don't like it.
There's nothing wrong with sleeping.
Sleeping is necessary.
What is sleep, dude?
Sleeping is necessary. Like we all do it. I sleep every night. Every night I go to sleep, but that doesn't mean that I have to like it.
No, you know what it is?
It feels like death.
You know what it is? You don't have anything to wake up to.
I can't fucking sleep.
If I had something to wake up to,
I get ridiculously fucking drunk and I black out.
Yeah, you have nothing in there for
That's the only way I can sleep.
Mountain, explain this.
Yeah.
It is.
If I had something to wake up to, it would make it even more difficult to go to sleep. Because I'd be excited. I'd be like, "Oh boy!" Like I remember, like when my mom took me to Busch Gardens, I was so fucking excited. I stayed up until like fucking like 2 a.m. because I was so excited for the roller coasters. Like, actually, if you're really excited about it the next day, then you're getting even less sleep. What I found is, don't be excited. Just
oh my god, nice guy. Holy shit! Why did I just fucking get a picture in my head of you as like a fucking golden retriever that is just fucking like super excited for the next fucking
Look at this. Look at this, General. He's trying to get you to join the furries. You see this?
Based.
General. The furry is trying to get you to join his fucking tribe because you are bonding with him.
Hey, I support all the furries. I won't be one, but I support all.
You should not support them. Don't.
No, I think they're
them.
great. They're a great group. They're a great a pack.
Weird.
What do you call a group of furries? A pack?
No,
lunatics.
They're a great pack of people.
An insane asylum.
A gaggle of pegs.
I'm gonna go ahead and fucking
a flock of Jews.
This down for you real quick.
And by the way, I want to say, is anybody looking at the last name of the dude on screen? His name is Gazzaniga.
What?
Huh?
Yeah, the last name of this dude on screen right now. His name is Gazzaniga.
Oh yeah. I saw
Gazzaniga.
Dude, I've been trying.
Hey,
to
you know, sometimes
damn days now.
Sometimes when it really reaches the boiling point, you got a Gazzaniga.
You got a Gazzaniga. You know what I'm saying? Like, look, bro, listen. That's where them Israelis are at. Like, are they over there in Israel? Like, bro, like, where you from? From Gaza, nigga.
That's the black Israelite who's supporting.
He's like, yo, I stand with Gaza, nigga. Like, yo, hashtag Gaza, nigga.
Yeah, that's right. Hashtag.
Black Link matters.
Yo.
Nice guy.
That's them Gaza niggas over there, man. They fucking getting it done right now. You know what I mean? Like, them Gaza niggas is dangerous, bro. Like, them Gaza niggas got that smoke, son. Like, legit. Like,
Furries are cool, dude. But
give a shout out to my Gaza niggas.
Yo, we stand with our Gaza niggas over here, right? Yo, we support BDS for them Gaza niggas.
Decent chicken grease in the Middle East.
Hey, that's the
Middle East. Oh God,
that's the way you Gaza nigga.
Yo, bro, you got to be that nigga. You know, it is what it is.
Oh.
Yeah, I got it,
I'm a
nigga.
Gaza nigga.
Yo, listen, bro, don't worry about it. Yo, don't worry about it. I got it, nigga. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I got it. All right, nigga.
I got this nigga.
Yo, my homie needs me. I Gaza nigga.
Listen,
you know what I'm
bro, like, yo,
I Gaza nigga. Yeah.
Listen, you know what I mean? Yo, bro, like, yo, look, don't worry about it. You know what I'm saying? We can get that taken care of. I got a nigga.
I Gaza nigga.
I got some nigga with them things, all right? I got some nigga that sell them rugs, all right? Legit. Yo, we can replace that tomorrow. Just fucking wrap that dude up in it. Fucking put him in the fucking ocean. Oh man,
we can wrap a bitch up in some carpet.
Bro, look, I know your battery needs a place, but don't worry about it. I got a nigga.
I got a nigga.
It's fucking crazy.
Yeah, I have dead ass been trying to figure out how to fucking pronounce this dude's name for like fucking 2 weeks.
Technically, it's Gazzaniga, right? That's literally is Gazzaniga. That's how you pronounce it. Maybe Gazzaniga, maybe. I doubt it though. Like maybe the G's ja, but I don't think so. Gazzaniga is the best way to pronounce that.
Gazzaniga.
I mean, Gazzaniga, right? Gazzaniga, right? From the I is the E, right? Other than that, the rest of it's pronounced the exact same. Gazzaniga.
Yeah, it's
Gazzaniga.
Yeah, listen, yeah, Gazzaniga is pretty close. Legit. In English, it is Gazzaniga, right? You know, just don't, bro, listen. I'll go talk to my man. I got a nigga. All right, listen. Wait, he'll get an answer how to spell that fucking name, how to pronounce it.
That guy's a nigga. That guy's a nigga.
I go ask a nigga how. I got a nigga. Tell me how to pronounce Gaza nigga.
Fuck you.
Don't worry about it. I got a nigga. All right, you calm the fuck down. Yo, Jesus Christ.
Your brain don't work right, Dr. Michael Gazzaniga.
Floyd, shut the fuck up.
Floyd, you're fucking dumb, bro.
Dude, that was funny. Shut up.
It was not. Yo, I got a nigga that's gonna take care of you, Floyd. You don't stop making bad jokes.
I got a nigga.
I got a nigga. Yo, fucking come get you.
Gazzaniga me.
Oh shit! I got a nipple, guys. A nigga biscuit.
Yo, listen. I may have offended that motherfucker, but don't worry about it. I got that nigga a beer. All right, it'll be cool. Okay.
Drinking game. Drink every time it says Gaza nigga.
Yeah. Listen.
Dr. Gazzaniga, come take care of you.
Oh man, listen, yo, I got respect for that motherfucker, man. He always got a nigga.
He always got a nigga.
He always got a nigga. You know, like listen, respect, my brother. When everyone fucking hurting, he got a nigga.
Jesus fucking Christ.
When you need that smoke, that motherfucker guy's a nigga.
Realize that we are fucking going straight to hell.
I don't care in any way.
What?
You don't even believe in hell. Shut up, Floyd. You're stupid. All right.
We're all gonna be fucking on the elevator together, going down, fucking looking at each other,
hell.
fucking laughing like goddamn Beavis and Butthead, remembering the shit that got us sent there.
An afterlife with you in an elevator is hell.
Oh shit.
And he's constantly right by your ear going, moist.
Dude, God just heard that and he figured out how to punish you.
Yeah.
Oh hell, he had that figured out long
Yo, don't worry about it, man. God got a nigga. All right. Yo, listen, Gazzaniga, take him up to heaven and be what it is. Just make sure, Flo, when we get there, you know what I'm saying, you guys a nigga a drink, alright? Fuck. Yo, I'm gonna hit play on the thing, bro, because look at you, I can't stand any more black belt shit from the two of you or any more guys and nigga bullshit.
Puts it, quote, "It was becoming apparent that the right hemisphere had its own rich mental life, quite different from that of the left." So right away, we can see that there's not just one consciousness going on inside our minds, there's two. But it actually gets crazier. Turns out, it's actually multiple modules inside each of the hemispheres that can display a kind of consciousness. And they have their own things to say. So you remember earlier when I was talking about, trying to imagine what it must be like for these split brain patients when their left hand just kind of randomly does something beyond their control, how weird that must be. Well, Sperry and Gazzaniga were wondering the same thing. So they began developing tests to see how patients explain these actions. Like the left brain normally has
correctly.
Gazzaniga?
What?
That is not how you pronounce that word. Gazzaniga is not how you pronounce that word.
I want to hear him say it again.
Yeah, listen, it's Gazzaniga, all right? That's how the fuck you pronounce that name. It's Gazzaniga.
Yeah, it's Gazzaniga.
Yeah, show some fucking respect.
Yeah, listen, bro, 100%, all right? Because, like, wait. Here's the motherfucker's name, okay? Legit. Here's the motherfucker's name, okay?
That's Gazzaniga.
Gazzaniga, right? Like, because the Gazzanga, right? Gazzaniga.
That
right?
doesn't even make any sense.
Gazzaniga, right, is not right? You know what I'm saying? Like, because, like, Gazzaniga.
Yeah, like, there's a missing fucking N in there.
Yeah, there's a missing A, bro. Gazzaniga.
No, it's
Gazzaniga.
I can't do it.
It's Gazzaniga.
Gazzaniga, bro. It's Gazzaniga. Like, that's how the fuck you pronounce it. It's not Gazzaniga. It's not Gazzaniga, right? It's not how the fuck that word. Gazzaniga. You're missing a G, bro. Like, it's not there. It's Gazzaniga. Yo, it's Gazzaniga, bro. It's Gazzaniga. Like, listen, it's Gazzaniga, okay? That's how you pronounce that. It's Gazzaniga. Yo, it's Gazzaniga.
It looks like it.
Yo, listen. Okay, listen. Have you ever seen? There's a basketball group or college named Gazzaniga, right? Or what is it?
Gazzaniga.
Gonzaga, right? Gonzaga.
Yeah.
Right? Gonzaga is a basketball like team, right? Like, and I've seen it spelled and I've seen it pronounced. That is not how the fuck it's spelled. There's like literally like fucking 4 G's in that shit. Right? This is Gazzaniga, all right? Legit. Like, yo, fuck, it's Gazzaniga. Like, that's how the fuck you pronounce this.
What the fuck is wrong with us?
Right. Listen, don't be trying to church this shit up, son. You know what I mean? This motherfucker trying to church this motherfucker's name up, bro. Like, nah. And I want to hear him say that shit again because that was fucking way wrong.
It was becoming apparent that the right hemisphere had its own rich mental life, quite different from that of the left. So right away, we can see that there's not just one consciousness going on inside our minds, there's two.
Okay, here we go.
But it actually gets crazier. Turns out, it's actually multiple modules inside each of the hemispheres that can display a kind of consciousness. And they have their own things to say. So you remember earlier when I was talking about, trying to imagine what it must be like for these split brain patients when their left hand just kind of randomly does something beyond their control, how weird that must be. Well, Sperry and Gazzaniga were...
All right, hang on, hold up, bro.
Yo, I was just about to say, please pause that, because I was just thinking, like, I think this guy is actually, like, probably smart, and, like, I'm not, like, necessarily disagreeing with, like, the things he's saying, but why does he have to be such a faggot soy boy all the time? You know,
listen,
like,
I agree.
That's the thing.
We're gonna listen to say this shit right in slow motion, right? Real shit. Hang on.
And they have their own things to say. So you remember earlier when I was talking about, trying to imagine what it must be like for these split brain patients when their left hand just kind of randomly...
See, that makes them more likable. Yeah, when you played it at slow mode.
How weird that must be.
Tom.
Well, Sperry and Gazzaniga
makes him sound less ADHD.
were wondering the same thing, so they began developing tests to see how patients.
Yo, what are you guys doing?
Beyond their control. How weird that must be.
Hanging out with the Gazzanigas.
Well, Sperry and Gazzaniga were wondering the same thing, so they began developing tests.
It's Gazzaniga.
Explain these.
It's Gazzaniga.
Well, do you think that he maybe he said it that way so he wouldn't like flag YouTube?
Right, they're sharing everything.
Yes.
But now
nah, he said it that way because like yo, he's trying to church it up. All right, it's Gazzaniga. All right.
That it points to and the words that it writes and whatnot.
And
if the left
look, I got a nigga who fucking told me that shit.
Patterns, what would it interpret from that?
Yo, I got a nigga who can sell that to you.
Yeah,
so in one experiment,
I got a nigga who'll tell you that shit, bro. He'll back me up. I got a nigga with a source.
Right. He was then asked to choose a picture that related to what he was shown. So his right hand pointed to a picture of a chicken, which obviously makes sense because the guy saw a chicken foot. But then his left hand pointed to a shovel,
it's Gazzaniga.
which makes sense because his original picture was a snow scene. But he didn't consciously see the snow scene. So when they asked him why he selected that shovel, he said, quote, "Oh, that's simple. The chicken claw goes with the chicken, and you need a shovel to clean out the chicken shed." The left hemisphere, without hesitation, came up with a justification for what the right hemisphere chose. It didn't say, "I don't know," which would have been the correct answer. It didn't say, "Oh, maybe it's this, I'm just guessing." No, it confidently declared chicken poop.
And yeah, because the left hemisphere is a dumb bitch.
And another example of the word
no. It's because the left hemisphere like justifies what the right one does, right? That's what women do.
Nah, dude. As far as I can tell, the left hemisphere is a dumb bitch, and I hate it.
Well, I did like a decent amount
of
of
the other
research,
musical instruments. The patient said, "Quote:
the right hemisphere is like where general behavior comes from." It's a generalist, and the left hemisphere is a detailed, orientated part of the brain. So it's focused on.
Dude, honestly, just fuck the left hemisphere. What the fuck good has the left hemisphere done?
Language,
you buddy.
Yo, wait. I have a question. Do you guys a nigga with a source for that?
I do got a nigga with a source for that. Yeah, are you saying this on your YouTube channel? That's wild.
Yeah. Why?
Well, we're just quoting accurate sources.
Yeah, listen, that was a dude's name, bro. Guy's a nigga, bro. You guys a nigga with a source?
He had a lot to say about philosophy and science and shit.
Yeah, man. Listen, you about that science. Yo, I got some nigga that knows some science shit. All right.
Gazzaniga knows some science.
You got a nigga? I got some nigga that got some shit with him, bro. Like real shit. I got some nigga with got like 160 IQ.
Very nice.
I got to get some sleep. All right, boys.
Oh.
Hey, I got a nigger who can sell you a pillar.
Yo, I got some nigga that got you motherfucking God damn it, listen, the fuck was that thing you was sleeping in? The fucking the Jonah hang between the trees?
Hammock.
A hammock. Yeah, hammock. I got some nigga with a hammock for you, bro. Oh, you already bounced. Bitch ass motherfucker.
You got Tom, you got the nigga that can
shut up. You got some nigga with banana hammocks.
Now if I
again?
What up? Now if I remember correctly, like there were some patients that like went into the surgery who had their brain split in half, the corpus callosum, and they found that like sometimes you would pick something up with their left hemisphere, like their left, or that would be their right hand, and then their left hand would slap it out of their hand, right? So like that appears to me that both hemispheres of the brain are capable of the inhibition of behavior, but the right hemisphere appears to dominate it somehow for some reason.
Yeah, because the right hemisphere like controls like instinct and shit. And I mean instincts like override. So it's your basic control set. You know what I mean? Like, that's what an instinct is. That's why instincts are really hard to overcome. Like, for boxers, in order to learn how to, like, move your head repeatedly, you know what I mean? Like, fucking when somebody tries to punch you, you have to do that shit like 1,000, like 10,000 times, right? Before you get in the fucking ring. Because everybody's natural instinct is kind of like the wince and, like, you know what I mean? Like, tuck in and shit. And that's not what you do when you box. You learn how to slip and then throw that fucking punch. You literally have to retrain your instincts. Now, but that's the right brain thing.
Maybe.
Yes.
Maybe. Sure.
Yes. 100%. Right,
I'm not entirely sure. There may be some other stuff in there. Like, so the right hemisphere of the brain is responsible for negative emotions, right?
Yeah.
Who said that?
So, like, it's probably in the video, but like,
he got some nigga with a source.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's fair. But like, of course, both hemispheres of the brain have negative emotions to them. Like that.
No. So like the left.
Oh, it's only one of them.
Yeah.
That can't be true.
I agree.
Yeah, your brain is supposed to be connected. It's supposed to be unified into one being, not like two separate ones.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Yeah, there's negative on both sides though.
There has to be. There's no way that you could just have like one side of your brain that is just fucking unicorns and rainbows and cats shitting Reese's Pieces. Like it that can't exist. There's no way.
I can like Gazzaniga, who has a source.
Yeah, listen, we're gonna keep listening. Maybe I'll say that shit here in a minute. Hang on.
Well, the last time I heard any music was the bells banging outside here. There was a church across the street. Again, the left brain, having absolutely no idea that the right brain had seen a bell, confidently came up with a justification. One more example of this was an experiment where they flashed the word red to his left hemisphere and the image of a banana to his right hemisphere. He was then asked to draw a picture with his left hand out of an assortment of different colored pencils, so he picked the red pencil and he drew a banana. But when they asked him why he drew a banana, he said, quote, "It was the easiest to draw with his hand because this hand can pull down easier." Which, by the way, makes absolutely no sense. But that's what the interpreter came up with. And this was the name that they gave it, by the way. They call it the interpreter module. They also found the interpreter module hard at work explaining emotional triggers. So, for example, in one experiment, they showed the right hemisphere a scene from a fire safety video where a guy gets pushed into a fire, and the patient just reported that she only saw a white flash, but then afterwards she noticed a change in her mood. She said, quote, "I don't really know why, but I'm kind of scared. I feel jumpy. I think maybe I don't like this room, or maybe it's you. You're getting me nervous." In another experiment with a female patient, they flashed the picture of a pinup girl to her right hemisphere, and then, without knowing why, she kind of snickered a little. And when they asked her why she was laughing, she said that they had a funny machine. Like, have you ever had a random mood change? Like, suddenly you just get angry or sad, and you don't know why? There's stuff going on in there. And in case you haven't noticed, in every single one of these examples, the interpreter module was wrong. Often confidently wrong. It got limited amount of information and assumed it knew everything about it.
No. I disagree with what this motherfucker is saying. Hold on.
Kind of running the.
Why you disagree?
So before you continue, I posted the nigga with the sauce.
Nice. I disagree because I think that there's something very simple that this guy isn't like accepting. If the brain affects the body, can we not all agree that the brain affects the body? Well, if the brain affects the body, then the body will affect the brain. So even if you sever the corpus callosum, there can still be communication between the left and the right hemisphere, even without the corpus callosum existing, because it can communicate through the body.
How?
Like,
no, you can't do that.
How?
What do you mean how?
That doesn't work.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
Yes, it does. If the right brain,
you have separated.
Wait. Let him continue. Let him continue.
If the right brain moves an arm, and then the left brain observes the arm moving, then that is a communication between like the two things. Like, yes, you severed like the highway of communication, and they can no longer communicate as well as they used to be able to. But you have not severed all communication because they
still can communicate through just the body existing. That has to be the case.
Okay, cool. So
Maybe
we went from
like
fucking gigabit internet to fucking dial-up.
well,
Yeah, that's what it would do.
wait.
Yeah. It slows down the two hemispheres from communicating, but it doesn't remove it. You can't.
Well, maybe when it comes to thoughts.
Maybe. I guess it would depend on the age of the patient.
That's the most likely conclusion. Like, how would these sense their own thoughts, like without the corpus callosum, like unifying
the corpus callosum?
Callosum? I thought it was callum.
It's the corpus callosum, is it not? I'm pretty sure that's
it's callosum. I got a nigga with a source for that, and I just read your article.
You guys are no good source.
Yeah, right. I just read your article. So first off, you're both wrong, right? How this works is depending on whether you are left or right-handed depends on whether or not your positive emotions are on the left or the right side of your brain, right? And it depends on how strongly you're left or right-handed, right? So like if you're like strongly, what?
Cross-eyed dominant. I'm left-eyed dominant, but I'm right-handed. How does that work?
Yeah. So I'm about to explain this shit. Can you let me explain it, please?
You're good.
Okay. Yeah, listen, I'm explaining. So like if you're strongly left or right, you know what I mean? Like it's gonna be much more like where like you're gonna be neurotypical, where you have like, you know, like your positive emotions will be on the opposite side of your brain depending on whether you're left or right handed. But if you're not strongly left or right handed, where like you're a little ambidextrous, right? Or if like, you know, you're just like, you know, like you're right or left-handed, or you're right-handed, but like, you know, you shoot with your left eye, or like, you know, you have some coordination on your left side or whatever it is, right? Your emotions will be scattered between both lobes, right?
Well, like so there are some neurologists have done some theorizing about.
I mean, I just read your article. That's what your article just
said.
Yeah. I'm going off your article, you know what I mean? Because like I'm not, you know what I mean? I'm not that nigga, right? But I got a nigga in that article who said that shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So what is it, Tom? When you say spread between the two lobes, what does that mean?
It means like your positive emotions, right, and your negative emotions will be spread between both sides of your brain. It'll involve both sides when you're upset or like fucking happy.
So there are some psychologists and the neurologists have theorized that when you have greater degrees of connectivity in the corpus callosum, your brain is more unified. So that or the callosum.
It is callosum, bro.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah,
so
you're good.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's like this thing called hemisync. Like some neurologists have talked about it, but essentially, like if there's increased brain activity in the corpus or the corpus callosum, your brain is more unified and it acts in a more unified manner. So that may be happening is where because people who are more ambidextrous, their brain is communicating more efficiently. So they have emotions popping up in both sides of the brain. Maybe it could be possible.
Yeah, I mean, like it also just could be, you know, I mean that, you know, like emotions aren't tied to language, right?
Sure. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's a different thing. And the depth of like where these things are in the brain, you know what I mean, it's gonna like vary, right? It's kind of like through evolution, right? You know what I mean? Like you have like these emotional states, but like the emotional states aren't like all equal as like when they came to be, right? Like things like anger or fear, right, are absolute necessities for like being alive. You know what I'm saying? Right. You know,
yeah, they're the earliest emotions.
Yeah. So they're going to be deeper rooted, and, you know what I mean, they'll probably be, like, you know, on both sides of, like, your fucking brain, like, no matter what the fuck happens. You know what I mean? They're not going to be something, or they might actually be, like, much more on the other side where it's, like, an instinctual thing, because you need that to be instinctual, right? Because it's, like, just fucking hardwired and fast. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, because it's a necessity. It's like fucking pain. Same type of thing. Like, you need to know when fucking pain happens. You need to know quickly when fucking pain happens. But things like happiness and joy, you know, those are things that like, you know, I mean, are much newer.
They're abstract.
Yeah. And they're more based off of, you know, I mean, like experiences, you know what I mean? And then you can be tied to like memories and all this type of shit. So it's a much more, much newer thing. So it's gonna be much more closer to the surface of the brain, like where the skull is and shit. You know what I mean? And so like, these type of things are gonna be different depending on where that is and how, like, you know, like depending on how they developed and evolved over time, all that type of shit. And I feel like psychologists and biologists don't think about these things because, like, you know, they're all, how do we get a pill in there? You know, I think that's fucking what the fuck it is. They're fucking dumb.
I have to agree.
They're like, I got some nigga who makes pills. You know what I mean? Right.
I got some.
You're gonna keep rocking.
Yeah, sure. That could be a possibility, yeah.
Or at least navigating our thoughts. Its further testing revealed that the interpreter module is just one of multiple modules in the brain, all of them kind of black boxes. Like, we don't really know how they make their choices, but they make choices, and then the interpreter module justifies it. Like, for example, fMRI tests showed that different areas of the brain would light up before a conscious decision was made to, say, take an action or to say something. That was a decision being made before the decision was made. This is basically how we live our lives, just walking around justifying the decisions and thoughts that pop into our heads from various random semi-conscious modules in our skull. This fact has been such a revelation for me because I don't really think of my thoughts and my actions as me doing it anymore. You know, I mean, yes, it's me. I'll get to the theory in mind around it in just a second, but it's a lot easier to look at your thoughts and beliefs objectively if you don't think of it as being part of you. Like, when I have a thought that comes up, I don't.
I mean, that's actually fucking based. I can just
ignore it if I don't like it. You know, it's not tied into my sense of self. My ideas aren't my.
No, that's fucking based. What he just said was fucking based.
It does sound kind of cringe, right?
No, dude. What he just said is based. No, that's based. No,
I'm gonna tell you why.
Rewind it back.
Wait a minute.
Rewind it back 10 seconds. Let's listen to it again.
I don't think that's like healthy for psychology. If you're like actively.
No. Listen to it again. Just take it back 10 seconds.
Such a revelation for me because I don't really think of my thoughts and my actions as me doing it anymore. You know, I mean, yes, it's me. I'll get to the theory in mind around it in just a second.
Thoughts and actions, it's not me no more. When I touch something, it's not me.
If you don't think of it as being part of you. Like, when I have a thought that comes up,
that is actually kind of based.
It's not. It's actually retarded, and it's
no. That's not retarded. Go fuck yourself. That's actually no. That's actually kind of based.
So the reason why it's retarded is that if you're the right side of your brain is the part of the brain that it like intubates behavior and controls your actions, then that is like the dominant part of your personality. Like that's just it. Like that is you. Yeah. It's just that you're not. You're just your brain is constantly like justifying it consciously. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's actually it's justifiable for your brain to promote the things that make your brain continue to exist. It is a self-selecting machine like all of Darwinism. Yeah, it's based.
The process? I don't like his interpretation though.
You didn't like how he said it. I understand that. Yeah, the guy looks like a faggot, but what he said wasn't wrong.
His interpretation is like, I think it's like kind of.
All right, listen. Let me agree that like the young bull is right, that it is cringe, but not for the reason that the young bull is right. Okay. You should recognize that things are going to upset you and piss you off from time to time, right? And like, you should probably fucking like learn how to like see it and control yourself. But this is something that you should probably learn at like 11 years old.
So there is.
You feel where I'm at, General? Like, where like this should not be something that you're just learning at. I'm guessing he's 36, 37 years old. You know what I mean?
Well, like more like those, more simplistic.
He's probably real close on my age, so
yeah. Sure. So like those more simplistic and like instinctual emotions, like we do know like exactly where they come from, which is like it's mostly the limbic system, the right side of the brain, right? Even in like people who are like normal people who are right-handed, like still has other functions, and it's still as sophisticated as the left is. So it's not like totally instinctual. It's not like the reptilian part of the brain or the mammalian part of the brain. Like it is like a complex creature.
Well, yeah, the mind is like really complex. Yeah, I heard about that.
Well, it's important to characterize it as like what it is, and not just like a reptilian side of the brain. Like it's not the case.
Like here again, this is my like. All right. First off, I want to say, Mr. Google, you should be 100% paying attention at all times at like what the fuck's going on around you and inside of your body and inside of your brain. All right, as much as possible. Okay.
I agree.
As you get older, just in general, pay attention. Okay. General. This is something that like we all should have been doing like forever, right? And I have been doing this since I was a child because like you had to learn how to control yourself. I had to learn how to control myself in very, very bad situations, right? And so therefore, like, you had to like, when you're ducking down from the cops, you have to learn how to control your breathing, you know what I mean? And like get low and fucking like try to not focus on them and look at something else so you don't, like attract somebody's gaze, that type of thing, you know what I mean? Because there are that psychological, like biological pheromone thing, you know what I mean? Right? And like these type of mentals should all be things that you're controlling in your brain, right? And so like when you're running and like you feel your body like going, oh my god, this fucking hurts so bad, like you turn that shit the fuck off a little bit so you can like keep going for a little bit further and start, like fucking instinctually following your legs as to where they want to go, so you just let them catch you as you're running down hills and shit. These type of things are all things that you should motherfucking be conscious of and understand that like your body reacts to outside stimuli and the outside of yourself all the fucking time, and that's a normal thing. You know what I mean?
I used to be one of those faggots that did parkour.
Mm-hmm.
I was that dude. I could do a backflip. I was able to do all. Dude, the fucking I know it's super gay as shit. But I used to be able to do all that shit.
You're a straight man?
Are
you sure you're heterosexual?
Well, after the amount of years of parkour and dicks in me, yeah, I'm not really sure. But
just clarifying.
But no, I mean it was parkour was
Yo.
it was an interesting thing for me, but also I never was able to really find a benefit to it. It was just like it was a hobby. It never really contributed positively to my life.
Did it make you more fit and flexible?
Yeah.
More like physically capable?
Yeah.
It didn't benefit me when it came to like fucking women.
Well, like it probably like maybe made you a little more physically fit, which is like good for like everything.
Yeah,
your brain.
I mean, but that's okay, a fucking
you're
nonsense goal.
Listen, like when
that's
it came
a nonsense goal.
Well,
like the
off,
only reason why you pursue anything is because there's pussy at the end of it.
Wait. All right, so do you disagree? Wait a minute. First off, let me say this. I didn't know that I got a nigga that does parkour. Right. Secondly, right. Like chicks are always impressed when you're able to do absolutely ridiculous things. You know what I mean? Right. So like when I was on a first date with a chick, we were walking down the street or whatever. I would have accidentally tripped and then like done like a full flip and shit. You know what I mean? And then it's like popped up right beside, like nothing happened. She'd have been like, "This the fuck did I got a ninja? Like this nigga's a ninja. It's sexy, right? You know what I mean? Like 100% that would have got you laid."
Yeah, so you like you just got no game, General Chief. That's the real issue.
You gotta get some riz about you, dog. Like yo, listen, I got some nigga who got some riz. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We all got some nigga.
Well, I wanted to respond to that statement Tom made a little bit earlier. It's like my issue with that this guy's statement they made like literally a couple minutes ago was not that he's like consciously aware of what's like the processes inside his brain, but the recognition that it like isn't him. Like you can say that's not the conscious me, but that certainly is like an aspect of my unconscious reality, right? Like it's like saying that like my emotions of anger, which is like triggered by my reptilian brain, like isn't me. Like no, that is you, and it influences how
it
you
is.
perceive yourself and how you are and how you conduct yourself.
I thought
that was a retarded statement.
As far as I'm concerned, I'm a fucking cuck. I want.
Oh yeah, we all know this.
Yeah, 100%. I want my
like thinking brain to be cucked as much as possible by my subconscious. My subconscious is way smarter than my thinking brain.
Wait a minute.
Fuck my thinking brain. My thinking brain is fucking retarded. No, that's the facts. Fuck my thinking brain. I only care for my subconscious brain.
As I said earlier, right? Like your right hemisphere, it's capable of thought, and it's capable to sophisticated thought.
Yeah,
no, we know it does. Like we know, right? Because it has a frontal lobe.
At some point it must. Yeah.
It has a frontal lobe and a neocortex.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So the neocortex and the frontal lobe and the prefrontal cortex are responsible for thought. Right. So your right hemisphere it has a very important role in the process of thinking. Right. What you're talking about is like the reptilian and mammalian brain.
I don't believe in it.
But yeah, so like the issue is, right, is that like the reptilians and the mammals don't appear to be doing as good as like the creatures with a neocortex. You know what I mean?
I don't know, man. General, I want to say something, dog. I ain't got a nigga who's a cuck. All right, first off, okay, and secondly,
of course,
right? Like I understand, like living on instinct is good for a little bit, right? And I'm like, it's good a lot of times. And I like to live on instinct.
I don't think that General Chief lives on instinct, though.
No, I don't. No, I live on spite.
Yeah, you kind of do, which is weird. Stop doing that, right? But like what you should be doing is I mean like 100%. If you expand your vocabulary and you expand like your understanding of things, like your ability to be able to instinctively live become better because your brain recognizes more things.
Sure. I mean, like in reality, right? Like you should just be operating, like on a very basic level. Like you should just be operating in the manner which helps you achieve the most amount of success, or like continues to make you live. And your instincts will get you killed eventually.
Nah.
I don't think that you should.
And your thinking brain. Whoa. Let me clarify.
You should maximize your success in a corporate environment. I don't think that's I don't think any goal is a whole, or any goal is a goal.
So like you should increase like how much you survive, of course, like as a basic thing, right? Like from a basic, like you should make sure that you live, right? Can we agree?
Probably.
Yeah, like the will to live is like the core characteristic of all living things, right? But so you should pursue that, and your instincts in certain situations will get you killed.
So be it.
Right. So like if you're like really stressed out and you're like running from a tiger and you got a duck under a fucking tree or some shit, and you start just panting like this, like you're gonna get your shit killed, right? You're gonna get murdered. You're not gonna have any babies. Nature God's gonna be disappointed in you. And there's a reason why Nature God blessed you with this neocortex. They can tell you stop breathing, motherfucker. You understand?
I'm not myself in a position to say what the neocortex should or should not do. And I would advise that no one should be in that position. Just, heads up.
I mean, like, listen, I've been in a lot of situations where like my instinct, right, as a whole was, to look around the room and find the hardest object I could to slam somebody's fucking head into. Right. But that
and sometimes they can get you killed.
Yeah, no, that might not have got me killed, but that most definitely would have probably got me arrested quite a few times, or ended up making my situation far, far worse. Right?
Very true.
So like you can't.
You want to do that in a room with like people with a bunch of guns, right?
Yeah. And so you don't do that in a room where like you're surrounded by a bunch like fucking lawyers and things, which tends to be the times that you want to do these things, or when you're at work and surrounded by a bunch of bros.
Yeah, when you're going through one of those humiliation rituals where they drag you into court And it's like, hey, you're a massive faggot, and everyone in this very serious court hearing is telling you that you're a massive faggot. Admit that you're a massive faggot, or else. And then you have to go, yes, Your Honor, I'm a massive faggot. Yeah.
Yeah, but like, so like the point is, right, is that like if instinct was always a good thing, or if the neocortex like didn't serve any purpose, then we wouldn't have it.
Well,
Yeah,
right?
I mean,
we have it for a very deliberate reason, obviously. I mean, we're
yeah,
having
and
this
sometimes
goddamn
that will be to
conversation.
limit our instinct for like better judgment that will help us survive.
and remember something. This is very important, General. Right? Like, yo, you're going like when you go, oh, I hate this. Right? It's your left brain, right, that's allowing you to be able to say those words and express those feelings.
That's
right?
because
Yes.
I long ago decided that my left brain was smarter than. I long ago decided that my right brain was smarter than my left brain.
That's also not a good way to look at it. Wait. So
no, it is.
It's not a good way to look at it. It's not a good way to look at it.
Right brain is smarter than left brain. Left brain's gay.
Well, here's
not a good way to look at it because they're responsible for different things, but they need to be unified into like a single individual. To operate correctly.
What the important thing is, right? And this is why, like, I talk about like lucid dreaming and all this type of stuff, right? Like, the important thing is to see everything, right, all the time, right? And I mean, and like absorb as much of it as possible, and like consciously trust your instincts, right? But like have your instincts like be a part of your conscious thinking, like at the same time, like you combine them both, right? So
yeah, you
like,
want to be a complete person.
Yeah. You don't just want to go one way; you want to go both ways.
Well, we don't know how to be a
complete person. No, I do, right? And I do it all the time.
I do as well.
Yeah, right. Like, listen. So like,
no,
what you
don't. Fuck
what
off.
you want to do, General, right? And what you want to do, Mr. Google. What you want to do is you want to stand here and you know, what I mean, you want to feel that situation out. Right, you want to think about it like in multiple ways and at multiple times, right? You want to like run through that scenario 7, 8, 10 times to see what you can figure out, because you're gonna find like flaws and issues and bullshit with like what the hell it is you want to do, right?
Yeah.
And you want to work as much of that out as possible before you fucking go and run. And then when you're going to go do whatever the fuck it is you're doing, you want to be able to stand here and react and adapt to that situation, which your instincts are going to like fucking help you do, and your conscious brain is going to help you do as well. Both sides are going to fucking help you do these things, and you want to be able to do both and use them both as much as possible.
I agree.
What do I do when my monkey brain like tells me to like go on the attack, but then like the other part of my monkey brain is like, hey, like hold off for like 6 months?
Like you got to weigh it out about like what you want to attack. Like, what do you like? Talk to your fucking homies about it, right? And like you work through it in your brain. That's what the whole purpose of your language center's for. It's cooperation. While you're, you know what I mean? Like, you know,
it does have to be cooperation. I agree.
Yeah. You got some nigga, you know what I mean, who will help you out with that shit.
Okay, it's a funny joke. It's old now.
It's still funny.
I agree.
That's why you laughed. It's still funny.
I don't know. I think it's gotten old a little bit. Just a smidgen.
Shut the fuck up. It's funny.
I'm thoroughly entertained.
Right? That's the mental.
But you want to know what we really should do? We should become transhumanists.
No.
And remove our
no.
Oh, dude, we could become faggots even more quickly.
No. I was just throwing that out there to tease General people.
Yeah, that's terrible. Yeah, listen, like, you know, what we should do is probably like become top end humans, right, as a whole. Here, let's finish this video up. Mr. Google never lets me finish a fucking video.
It's not tied into my sense of self. My ideas aren't my identity. And it's a lot easier to change your mind on something if you don't have it tied to your identity. Also, once I understood that our brains are just constantly justifying things, just justification machines, basically, I find myself often just kind of pausing and asking myself, like, what am I justifying right now? It's usually when I'm procrastinating on work. Like, here's a crazy thing that we do. Have you ever noticed, like, that you felt anger or annoyance at someone after you've hurt them in some way? I mean, like we've all done it. We hurt people's feelings. We failed to live up to a promise, betrayed someone. It happens. That's life. But there's a psychological phenomenon that happens where, like, we know we hurt someone and we feel bad about it, But then that justification module kicks in and just sees that, you feel bad and it has something to do with that guy. Well, that guy must have done something wrong. And then you wind up feeling resentment toward the person that you hurt, which is crazy, but we all do it. We are constantly justifying bad behavior and bad habits in the service of comfort or protection or just a dopamine hit. That's normal. It makes us human. But the awareness of it can kind of change your life. But the other mind-blowing part of it gets into questions of free will. Like, what is actually controlling our decisions? There are some that make the argument that this disproves free will, that our decisions are made by patterns of neurons firing in a predetermined manner, that we're not even consciously aware of our decisions at all. These guys call themselves determinists. Taken to an extreme, one might make the argument that nobody can be held accountable for their actions at all because they weren't the ones that made the decision to take that action. Yeah, seriously, try that in a court of law. It doesn't work. And this obviously can also be used by people who justify bad behavior because, well, I'm not the one who chose to do it. Obviously, this is a bit of a philosophical slippery slope. Like, how do you have justice and accountability in the world if there's no free will? But also, how can you have free will when your decisions aren't your own? To find an answer to this, we have to go a little bit deeper into the nature of consciousness itself. It's time to talk about emergence theory. In Dr. Gazzaniga's book, he talks about the quantum world and how it operates on vastly different rules from the macro world. We talked about it here on this channel a million times. But these atoms and subatomic particles that just don't play at all in the Newtonian or even Einsteinian rules that we experience, they mostly exist in probability states, actually. They manage to come together and combine to make physical matter. The air you're breathing, the chair you're sitting on, the building around you, even yourself. This is emergence theory, the idea that objects in one system can combine to create something entirely different in another system. And Gazzaniga talks about two forms of emergence, strong and weak emergence. He explains, quote, "There are two schools of thought on emergence. In weak emergence, the two properties arise as a result of interactions at an elemental level, and the emergent property is reducible to its individual components. That is, you can figure out the steps from one level to the next, which would be the deterministic view. Whereas in strong emergence, the new property is irreducible. It's more than the sum of its parts, and because of the amplification of random events, the laws cannot be predicted by an underlying fundamental theory or form an understanding of the laws of another level of organization." An example that's always used of emergence is how millions of individual ants with very basic programming can come together and build giant ant colonies that are basically superorganisms with organization and structures that would be impossible for any one ant to conceptualize. One could draw the same conclusion about people, like forming cities or people forming the internet. But our brains work the same way. Actually, we have a few different levels of emergence. We have the atoms combining together to make the organic molecules that comprise the neurons. You have the neurons firing in patterns that create this, subconscious module that's going on in your head. And then you have the multiple modules coordinating to create our lived experience of consciousness. Actually, it's kind of funny. I've talked about octopuses in the past on here and how they have this seemingly alien form of intelligence where they essentially have 9 brains because each arm has a little mini brain controlling it with an executive brain that sort of manages all of it. It's like a hierarchical brain system that I've always thought was fascinating because it's hard for us to even conceptualize that. But it turns out, in a lot of ways, our brains work pretty much the same way. We have multiple semi-conscious modules that coordinate at times and jockey for position at times, with an executive justifier module that takes in all their signals and tries to make sense of it. And again, determinists would look at this and say that it's all pre-wiring, we have no conscious control over it, we are basically that guy from Men in Black with the Christopher Walken looking alien on his head. Drink the coffee. So yeah, our feeling of free choice and agency over our actions is a bit of an illusion. Except, hold on, that doesn't make sense, does it? If our thoughts and actions are hardwired and controlled by some wizard behind the curtain, then how do we explain neuroplasticity? How do we learn new skills? How do we get better with practice? The fact is, according to the book anyway, consciousness is a result of both bottom-up and top-down causation. We are simultaneously making decisions on a subconscious level, but also shaping those decisions at a conscious level. It is possible. It's not easy, but it's possible to change a pattern of negative thinking by being aware of it and replacing negative thoughts with positive thoughts. We do have, to various degrees, conscious control over our emotions and thoughts. In Dr. Gazzaniga's words, quote, "Action is made up of complementary components arising from within and from without. That is how the machine, the brain..."
What are you gibbering about, General?
I was just going,
What are you mmming about?
Because I didn't believe what he was saying.
What don't you believe?
Well, I don't know. Get back to the video.
He's making monkey noises.
Yeah, I'm just making noises.
All right, man. Listen, I was gonna let you
express
your noises.
Thus, the idea of downward causation may be confusing our understanding. What is going on is the match between our ever-present multiple mental states and the impinging contextual forces within which it functions. Our interpreter then claims we freely made a choice. I guess to put the question of whether we have upward or downward causation in simpler terms.
Maybe both is happening at the same time.
So, do we have free will? Yes and no. A lot of our decisions, it seems, are hardwired.
That's such a gay take. I hate that. Oh, I'm offensive. Look at me. I rammed a fence right on my.
This guy's base. This guy's base.
I fucking. Oh, I'm the ultimate fencer. Oh, yes and no. Fuck this guy.
Yo.
This guy's cool as fuck.
Fuck this guy. Oh, look at me. Does free will exist? Well, yes and no. Fuck this guy.
Base. I'm glad it pissed off General Chief.
Yo, listen. No. We're not here just to piss off General Chief. We're here to like have a conversation about things, right? I know. So, like, I mean, General, explain your point.
Fuck this guy. He concluded with, does free will exist? One of the most important questions that mankind has ever faced. Like, besides, like, why do things exist? And he goes, well, here's an entire video about the free will of mankind. And then he goes, well, yes and no. That's such a faggy answer. That ought not be allowed to exist.
I thought you didn't like aughts.
Aughts are a good word.
I mean, like,
I think you ought to kill yourself.
I think that you ought stop being a faggot. I mean, it is what it is.
I think you ought stop calling me a faggot.
I mean, listen.
That ought not stop.
I think I ought to be a faggot.
Listen,
probably.
My kid was born in 2002.
Okay. Anyways.
Right.
So,
I'm just saying. Listen, it sounds ridiculous. You know what I'm saying, as a whole, right? So, I mean, do you have free will? Sort of, right? Like we were having this conversation in our dialogue that we're having right now, right? Where it's like, do you have free will? Sort of, because like the world interacts on you, and you have to interact with the world and react to it, right? So like you sort of have free will, but you sort of don't.
No, free will exists. Well,
that's like sort of like a flawed argument. Right, because like if you exclude extreme examples, is where like individuals like completely manipulate everything around you to control your thoughts, which that can still be overcome based on your interpretation. Because then that sort of dissolves into a moralist versus or not a moralist, but a materialist versus a rationalist perspective on the world.
What an ancient perspective.
It is pretty old.
I mean, so like again, you know, sort of, kind of, right? Do you have free will? Yes and no, right? I mean, like you have things that are hardwired.
No, you do. Wait, you do have free will. You have you have free will.
You have things that are hardwired into you, right? Your ability to say yes and no, or you know, what I mean, not make a decision as a whole, right? Are really your three choices are yes, no, and you know, what I mean, like not doing shit.
Tom, do you got preferences about things?
Yes.
Your preferences are a direct input into how you choose things.
Yeah, but what determines our preferences?
If you have preferences, you must have.
What determines our preferences?
The environment.
I mean, you determine your preferences, right? But like ultimately, your determination of your preferences is based on what's good for you. Right, and what's good for you is what your brain is hardwired to teach you to do.
I'm sure people have like module control over that though.
I'm sure they do too, right? Like you can sacrifice yourself, right?
We could talk about Buddhist monks that are willing to set themselves on fire. We can talk about the extremes, but
well, no, it's not only that, but like
Like you're willing to blow up a bridge for save your platoon, all these type of things. There's lots of things, right? And then you don't eat that last piece of chicken, you give it to your kid. You know what I mean? There's lots of times that you do this where you sacrifice what's good for you for others, right?
Yeah, but we've also found that certain psychological traits allow people to control or hide or still be high functioning, with mental health issues, right? Now, particularly this is IQ. And we found in general that the higher IQ
that
you are,
if we send a lot of food to Africa, then the retards will reproduce more. Yeah, it's been a very successful experiment.
That the better you are at controlling, more at controlling your mental health issues and eliminating them, right? You have a better time dealing with it. And there's also some stuff with this disgust sensitivity too, which is a very instinctual emotion. Right. And we found that it's disgust sensitivity is lowly correlated or negatively correlated with IQ. Right. So there's some interesting things that you can throw in there.
Negatively correlated with IQ.
So the higher your disgust sensitivity is, typically your IQ is lower. So there's a negative correlation.
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Oh, who decided that one?
A Gazzaniga with a source.
Oh, that's based.
See, look, it's a great joke. It really is. Yo, look, here's where it's at, right? So, I feel you because, if you're a doctor or, or whatever it is, and any type of doctor as a whole, you're going to have a very low disgust, you know what I mean? Sensor or whatever it is, you know what I mean? Sensory type of thing, right? So that's just how that works. Right, and I would assume farmers probably have pretty high IQs too, because their disgust factors are almost nothing. It's bro, yeah, listen, my horse broke. It's I gotta fucking put it back together, or my fucking something bad happened. I have to fucking do this, and it's fucking gross, but I gotta take care of it. This is just normal, right?
Yeah. Now, what could also be the case, right, is that so there's a few psychological interpretations of this, but what could also be the case is that your environment determines your disgust sensitivity, right? So it's an environment-based thing that's built into your instincts.
Okay.
So that's one interpretation that some people have taken. And what's interesting is that people with psychopathy or antisocial and can't connect to other human beings, typically a very low disgust sensitivity. So there may be some evidence as that well. So that that would indicate that the higher IQ you are, there's a greater degree of independence from your environment around you. So that's another interpretation you could take.
I would never say that any individual is independent of their environment. That's a step too far, probably.
I don't think that's the way he's saying it, right? It's not about.
Well, there definitely are.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
There definitely is people who are.
Wait a minute. What I'm saying is I don't think that's the way that he's actually saying it. Where you're literally independent of your environment. What he's saying is that you're not.
You're independent of the group. That's more.
Yeah, well, you can be independent of a group.
Not maybe the material environment, but the group. Yeah.
I mean, just material as a whole, right? As an in general thing, right? You're going to be more independent of shit around you, right? Because you're not going to. How do I put the smaller parts of it aren't going to bug the fuck out of you as much, right? The shit that's really bad, you're just gonna get over very quickly because you're able to focus on whatever task it is that you got to deal with.
It do be determinable, however, that human beings can't operate off of abstract goals. That appears to be determinable.
What?
I don't know if I necessarily agree.
What abstract goal can't you work towards?
Name an abstract goal.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm trying
to invention of the invention of mathematical concept. I mean, that's pretty abstract. That's abstract as you get.
No, I mean, like, you could take something like super abstract, like, like devise like the fucking theorem for a black hole or some shit. But no, like, keep it as simple as like hey, motherfucker, lose weight, stop being a fat fuck. I don't know how good humanity is at actually doing that. Like, I know that we all know nice stories where people have like they were told that they were a fat fuck and they should lose weight and they did it. Nice job. But like it doesn't happen that much. Like I'm not certain about how strong the will of humanity actually is. I know I've been told that it's super strong, but I'm not confident that it is. You know, it appears to be to just be
I have to ask
another
a question.
object.
Is this like just me, or does General Chief like keep arguing from a deterministic perspective and a free will perspective? Like you just keep flip flopping.
I mean, like,
maybe I am, but I doubt that.
I don't know. Like, he's talking about like will at this point, right? And I'm like, it's not even free will; it's just will, right? Just as an in general thing, right? Like, fucking will is something that some motherfuckers have and some motherfuckers don't, right? That's just how that operates. Some people have a whole lot of like a will of iron, and then there's some motherfuckers like they're just whatever. They just go along with the flow. You know what I mean? Like, you can break their will quickly.
No, I agree, but like, like my issue is that like he's talking about
there are fuckers that have will. Yeah, maybe that's actually the better way to break it down. It just will. Do you have will or
yeah? But
no
what you
will?
have to talk is you have to define will. So like, will is a thing. Like the will to do something.
It's my ability to project my preference upon the universe.
Yeah. So do you have control over what your will is?
I don't have a control over what my preferences are. So
you're not. You don't believe in free will?
I believe in will.
I have a will of iron.
How do you direct this will, though? That's the real question.
Me?
How do you direct it?
Me, I grind and I mean, like, do what I want to do. I do what I want. Like that's real. I do what I want. Like
trying to direct it is probably gay bullshit.
Yeah, I don't think it is, right? Trying to direct it is
why the fuck are you trying to direct it when it's such a natural, beautiful thing?
That's the whole point of having a will,
I agree
bro.
that will is big, but like,
if you don't have, like, listen, if you don't have like a reason to have will, then you don't have any fucking will, right?
I believe.
Well, like you could, like, of course, beings have a will to live, right? That's a natural.
You don't have to have a will to live in order to live.
Except if you're.
All right. Here's the question. Here's the question. How many things in the world are you willing to like fucking take to the mattresses?
Actually, when it comes down to it, like probably 4 things.
It's everything for me.
I mean, for me, those 4 things are everything. I think.
No. I mean, it's every fucking thing. Like every.
You want to take everything, Timet.
Everything.
You want to take a like fucking bullshit anarcho-syndicalist propaganda about communism to the mat.
Yes.
No, you don't. No, you won't.
500 pounds?
No, you won't. Dude. No, you don't take bullshit to the mat. I know that you know that is dumb.
No. You see, this is the problem, right? It's like I know that it's dumb, right? 100%.
Yeah, that's super retarded.
Yeah, but I can't help it. I do dumb shit. Like, you have to understand the amount of things I've done in my life that were completely retarded, just to like show, or just to like, because I can't let it fucking go.
I mean, I will not step in my brother's way if he wants to go full autistic and just fuck the world with his tiny cock. Yeah, I mean, yeah, 100%.
I mean, like, listen, there's so many hills that I'll die on for like no reason whatsoever.
That's chill. I don't see anything wrong with that.
Right. I mean, like, listen, there's things in life, I mean, I'm like, like on the internet as a whole, where it's like, you know, I do want to argue this point, and like a lot of times I'll just leave so I don't argue this point because I'm like, you know what, fucking, I'm gonna sound terrible if I argue this fucking point, right? But like, you know, yeah, like again, and I have a hard time sleeping when I do shit like that. Again, will of iron. Just I have to have my way about a lot of things. And it's dumb, but it is what it is. Like that's why like I couldn't like stay in like long-term relationships that often, is because like I cannot tolerate, right, not having my will be done.
You're older and bigger and wiser than I am. Do you think that I possess one of these wills of iron?
Definitely not.
Not like me. Not like me. It's okay, and it's not a bad thing, dog. It's not. All right, like you're able to get along in life much better than me, right? It's like you ever seen You ever seen Braveheart? Wait a minute. Wait. No, you ever seen Braveheart? Right, where like the father's looking at the son comes in and he goes like fucking, he fights with such passion and courage, right? And fucking he goes, and the father goes like, he's uncompromising. Uncompromising men are easy to admire, right? But it's exactly the ability to compromise that makes a man noble.
That's gay. I agree. I think that's gay.
Noble, you know, I mean, good. You know, I mean, like fucking rulers of men. I don't compromise on bullshit.
I don't think that like agreeability is like something that
I agree with you, Pnoid.
I think agreeability is like the trait of a midwit, and very rarely do leaders ever have like that form of agreeability. Like, are you familiar with the Caesar's quote?
What's Caesar's quote?
Caesar was talking to Pompey, and he said, and he was talking about like a barbarian village, and he said, "I rather be one in that village than second in Rome." All right, so like, and this man was like whatever Caesar was, he was a great leader of men, right? Objectively. Wait, just by most metrics you can.
Well, you know what you just said.
He'd rather be one of the village than
number one in the village than second in Rome, right? He said, "I'd much rather be like the chief of this village than be second in Rome."
What he basically have said, to agree with that.
What he basically said was either you're first or last.
Yeah, that's what he said. He like pulled like, what's that? Yeah, Rick and Bobby. He pulled the Ricky Bobby quote.
If you ain't first, you're last. Right? There is no second. There's no fucking ribbon for second place.
That has
like
to
that's
be
not
true.
That's not a very like agreeable man, right? Like that's not a very compromising man.
Yeah, but not everybody can be Caesar, and we're not talking about Caesar as a noble.
Oh no, right? I agree. Like you're gonna have a midwits that are gonna be.
No, it's not just that. It's not just that, bro. Like so, like you know, the amount of space at the top is very limited, right? You know, what I mean,
yeah. So it's only room for one.
Yeah, right. Like you know, and so. If you live your life like that and then you never end up at the top, you're a fucking failure to yourself, and like, you know what I mean, like you're fucking your soul and your heart and all these type of things, and that's terrible, right? You know, so like as I said, it's better to be able to compromise, you know what I'm saying, like listen and get comfortable like with where the fuck you are, right? And this is what I'm saying, like I would much rather, right, as a whole, right, be comfortable in having my way than, you know what I mean, like, you know, fucking live miserably but have the shit that I want. And if that makes any sense.
I agree. Now like not everybody like has the ambition
that
to
probably
be number one,
has
Caesar
to be
did,
the
right?
case.
But like
that has
it
to be
doesn't
the case.
mean that you it doesn't mean that you should be like extremely agreeable, right? Like this is actually like a fairly common issue in a lot of like psychology circles, is where a lot of people end up being extremely agreeable, and it's more of an issue than being extremely disagreeable. And they actually have to take people and give them disagreeability training.
Yeah, you
like,
gotta fuck with people
to be disagreeable. Like you can't be a mat that can be just walked on. Like it's gonna cause issues in your life, right? So I don't think agreeability is something that should be strived for in most cases.
I think that fucking with people is actually not that fun of a game.
Well, it's not about like fucking with people and
You
all
don't
that
like
type
trolling?
of shit. It's not about trolling's amazing.
No.
Right?
I mean, I love trolling, but I found that actually it's not actually that fun of a game.
You don't like trolling?
People,
it's not that fun.
People are kind of dumb. Like it's fun.
But again, it's not. Listen, it's not about that, right? What it's about is like, so in my life, right, as a whole, I would much rather be, you know what I mean, like by myself than not be the fucking charge of like my household.
Well, I mean, yeah, like 100% MGTOW or whatever the fuck.
No. I mean, like, I'm never by myself. You know what I mean? That's not how I operate, right? Like, you know, like it has to be that like I have what I want. I live the way I want to live. You know what I mean? Or else I'll just live on solo. That's my mentality, right? I would rather motherfucking live like my life. I would rather die on my feet than live on my knees. And that's not a positive trait for like the modern world, right?
It's not
straight up, Pnoid. Like
I don't think it's I don't think it's a very positive trait in any like communitary or a community oriented place like throughout all of history. But there are places for individuals like that.
Right? Oh no, like again, where I come from, that's a normal mentality.
Well, yeah. Well, yeah, sure.
Right. Yeah. So that's a normal mental where I come from.
Well, that's like the normal mentality for like, you know, a lot of
honor-based societies. It's an honor-based society mentality, right? And that's what that is. You know, that's that will of iron, that fucking honor. Like, listen, bro, I'll die for like some shit that's completely abstract on some nonsense. For respect, for honor, for my ancestors, for my family name, I'll die for these fucking things on some stupid shit. Because I'm like, it's retarded, but it has to be that way.
I gotta be honest. Tom, like, here's the thing, right? I don't.
You're not coming out of the closet, are you?
I don't necessarily fucking respect you. You know, like for the most part, you know, anyone that isn't me, you know, can go fuck themselves. You know, that's my stance. But
why is Gerald?
But hold on.
Just occasionally. But every now and then.
What I do have to say is there does seem to be some amount of wisdom in sticking together. So, like, as long as I can go be an Anglo over there, and you can go be an Italian fuck over in a different place, I think that we're awesome, and I think that we can be great friends.
When I was working at the mill, there was this dude named Smooth Diddley. Right, and he looked like the fat guy from Borat, but he was like 5'2", right? And Smooth Diddley, you know what I'm saying? He on a regular basis, you know what I mean, would, you know what I mean, like get himself in like some shit by accident. Like somebody would almost kill him, and I'd save his fucking life, right? You know what I mean? And like I had like zero respect for him physically as a dude. You know what I mean? But on the same level, like I loved him because like that was my boy. You know what I mean? Like you know, that was my little homie and shit. The same age as I was. Wasn't like he was a pup or nothing. You know, he was the same age as me. And when he sat here and, you know what I mean, like one day, like tried to jump in my face and was like, fucking Tom, I swear to God, man, listen, you're always fucking acting like you're fucking, you know what I mean, like I'm not that fucking important because like you're bigger than me, right? And I sat here, you know what I mean, and I laughed at him, right? And he felt a way about it, you know what I mean?
That's good. That's healthy.
You know, I laughed at him because, like, you know, I know he, like, if he ever tried something, I'd just punch him in the fucking face. And he was, like, right at arm level, you know what I mean? So, well, he was shoulder length. Like, it wouldn't even be fucking fair, right? And, you know, and this is the thing, right, as a whole. So, when you get down to it, you can love a motherfucker, right, and, like, respect somebody and, like, have, like, a very good relationship as long as, like, everybody understands, like, where the actual situation is. Right, and that's how that operates, right? And like I keep like I don't try to have it on that level, but this is naturally how it works, and this is the way I kind of prefer it. And these are my preferences as a human being, and my will of iron keeps it in that way. And my charisma and my abilities, motherfucking maintain it.
Well, in that case, the only thing that I could possibly do against that is disagree and go, fuck you, nigger, I want to live a different way. But,
how do you want to live, John?
Ultimately, no. Ultimately, that would be a fair impasse.
Yeah. But the thing is, here's the thing, though, right? And I mean, end of the day, when it comes down to end all, be all, right? There are very few human beings on this earth, right, who like would do better for you when you're in some shit.
Oh yeah. I mean,
that's the mentality, right? And that's why it's love.
Yeah, I've already concluded that most humans that exist or are going to exist on this planet are fucking pieces of shit. Yeah, no, I concluded that a while ago. Yeah, I love my homies.
Yeah. Right, and that's a love. You know what I'm saying? As long as you got a nigga, then I got a nigga, and that's where we.
I got a nigga too. Yeah, 100%.
We all got a nigga.
Yo, man, listen, that sounds like a positive place to end the recording, man. Listen, if you got a nigga, you should like, share, and subscribe. I'ma holla at y'all pussies later.